Welcome back to another episode of Gator Diamond Pod, joined by my great co-host Adrian Perez. Adrian, for me it's April 1st. For you it's March 31st. This ain't no fool's joke. We are recording live, getting ready for a pivotal stretch for Gator baseball. Last week we lost 2 out of 3 to Ole Miss. Really, with that series, should have won. What do you think? Should have won that series.
Yeah, man, the Ole Miss series, yeah, that's one that you could have taken a 2 out of 3 on the road, and that's always a bonus when you could take a road series. It was right there for the taking. A lot of mistakes we'll talk about here shortly, but you know, at least they got one. At least they didn't get back to back to back swept. So that's
But
always
the
good. You
Grand
gotta look
Slam
at the
was on
positive.
the Grand Slam was on the table. The
That
walk
was
off. I was
hilarious, huh?
sweating. I was sweating
I
with
was
that.
thinking if
But
if this guy hits another walk-off slam on us in less than 2 weeks, oh my God. So thank God that didn't happen.
it's more of the mistakes the whole week. We blew the Florida State game. We
Yeah.
blew the Thursday game. Should have won the Friday game. And then we ended up taking the game 3 on Friday. There's just a lot of mistakes. It's sometimes it's pitching.
Yeah.
The next if it's not pitching, it's hitting. If it's not hitting, it's pitching, blowing things. Just a
Well,
lot of
that's what bad bad ball clubs do that and bad teams do that in all sports, right? It it's just a total team breakdown, especially in team sports like this, right? And that's what bad teams do. They find ways to lose, and it's a funk that you get into, regardless of the sport. And baseball is so wonky sometimes, right? Little things that happen that are just wild. Um, but there's definitely patterns here, and Sully talks about them in his post-game interviews, and I'm sure he gets frustrated. But just walking batters based on balls is just killing this team. Walking leadoff hitters in the innings in which, the other team scores, is almost automatic. And then failures to execute on offense. How many times do we not get runners over from second base with no outs? Happens all the time. Getting runners in from third with less than 2 outs happens a lot. Um, and then when bad things start to happen, we always talked about at the beginning of this season, Chris, we had talked about how Sully during the preseason and during the fall and the preseason scrimmages, how we were hitting and running, bunting, stealing bases. But when you start to lose, right, and players start making mistakes and mental mistakes, especially, then the coaching gets a little tight, right? And now Sully might be a little hesitant to call for steals, call for, hit and runs, be aggressive because, things are just blowing up in your face. So that happens too. And that's just human nature. So then you start seeing how, oh man, they don't look like they're aggressive, and people are playing tentative and it just snowballs. It just starts to snowball, man. And that's a lot of what's going on. So that win that on that second game of that doubleheader was huge. I had posted, Chris, that if they had lost that game, that's it, over. Season, for all intents and purposes, is done. You know, because getting swept 3 straight series to start the season, the mental psyche funk that you would be in, I just felt that there's no recovering from that.
mhm.
At least you got that win, and now you're on life support, and we're gonna talk about it right later on as far as what it's gonna take to make the postseason, right? So they're on life support, but at least they have a little bit of life in them, just really because of that one win against Ole Miss, that second game of the doubleheader. You know, um, so we'll take it from there, man. But we'll see, man.
The more the more points this weekend was the lack of innings from starting pitching. I mean, you're asking a lot of Aiden King to come in on a Saturday in Tennessee. Then Friday against Georgia. Then let's move him up. We talked about this on. I think we posted this on Thursday. That moving him up again, just making him lose rest, can definitely take a toll on a freshman. And he only gave you what 3 and 1/3 innings against Ole Miss. We used 7 pitchers on Thursday, 13 walks to 10 strikeouts. I mean, when you walk 13 guys in one game, I mean the game was only 7-5, but 13 walks is just inexcusable. It's you just got to throw strikes. I
Ouch.
mean,
13 walks.
listen, Ole Miss had 13 strikeouts on Thursday night and had 1 walk from their pitching staff.
Yeah. They had left, I think, 15 runners on base. Ole Miss on
Yeah,
Thursday.
they have 14. Yeah.
14? 14 LOBs left on base. Again, I have it here also. Asking a lot of Aiden King again. I have it in capital on my little notes here. Um, Chris Burke, who was the television commentator on Thursday, I respect him a lot. I think he's best in the business. I can hear him talk baseball all the time. Um, Good dude, even though he's a Vol, right? Even though he's a Vol, he's a good dude, family guy, and he just knows baseball so well. His take on Aiden King was spot on, man. All he needs is to develop either his split finger or his changeup. Develop one of those secondary pitches to become a swing and miss pitch, and he'll be lights out. I mean, just lights out. Because he mentioned it on the broadcast what we had talked about, how Aiden King, for such a young player, dominates the strike zone with his fastball. And that is so rare to see. But what happened was, especially on Thursday, he was getting no takers on any of his other pitches, right?
Mm-hmm.
Ole Miss was laying off the changeup, was laying off the split finger, and if they did swing at it, they would either foul it off or it was, nowhere near the strike zone to even tempt him to even have to swing at it, right? So he kept having to come with his fastball to get some type of action, to get some type of out, right? And then that's how he got in trouble. Because then he starts to nibble a little bit more with that fastball, and then he starts to, walk players, fall behind, and that's where he got in trouble. So he needs to develop that moving forward. And next year he will. He'll take this off season, take the rest of this season, keep working on that. And once his secondary pitches get developed a little further, then it'll be lights out, man. So I respect that a lot from Berkey to have said that. But overall, then the rest of the staff, I think you posted about it when Luke came in, or somebody did. Tonight we got the bad Luke, bad Luke McNeely.
Oh
So
yeah, yeah, no,
once,
I did.
yeah, so once McNeely came in and he started to walk people, forget about it. I mean, he's your number one arm coming out of the bullpen. So once that happened, the chances of winning on Friday pretty much left town. Uh, so that was rough, but you hadn't had a bad outing from McNeely in about what, like 4 or 5 straight outings. He had come in good. And it's
Mm-hmm.
always the base on balls, right? The stuff is always there. And that's goes for most of these guys. Look at McCall Bymiller. McCall Bymiller, man, every time he comes in, he does pretty good. The only thing that gets him in trouble is when he can't throw strikes. And we talked about that. That's what's going to happen with true freshmen. You got to ride that roller coaster, and it's frustrating. And we talked about it a lot last week, how keep finding ourselves in this situation every couple of years, having freshman bullpens. But once that happened with Luke, you know, it was lights out, and a lot of mistakes in that game too. That game one, Chris, Shelton gets picked off at first base.
We had 2 guys
The
get picked
scout,
off.
I was getting to that now. Yeah, the
Oh,
scouting
okay.
report came in. Obviously, they got a scouting report. They
Yeah.
know this lefty has a killer pickoff move. All right, and now you see Shelton get picked off, and then when Bozer got picked off, listen, Chris, I'm benching Bozer. At that moment, I'm taking him out of the game. Not only for him, but for the rest of the club, right? They gotta see that. Physical errors are one thing, you know? You miss a ground ball, you strike out, whatever. Physical errors you live with. Mental errors like that, when the team is in the rut that it's in, that's when I posted something about how Sully's got to go nuclear, right? And I'm sure after the game in the locker room, he talks to the ball club and lights into him, does the whole, the whole nine. But sometimes on the field, that's when you got to also make a stand, right? Because you can't go old school no more, right? You can't go like Lou Holtz grabbing them by the face mask and shaking them. You can't do that to today's athletes, okay? But you know what you can do? You could use that bench. That bench is powerful, Chris, because everybody wants to play. Okay. Now I know that our injuries have caused us our depth to have gotten hit, obviously. So maybe Sully just didn't feel like he had enough players to bench Bozer at that time. But nothing against the kid. But I would have whatever. I would have moved around. I would have brought Blake Sear down to play second base like he did his freshman year. Whatever it takes, I would have benched him at that moment. Okay? Because you cannot get picked off there. You just can't, dude. You just
Mm-hmm.
can't. After Shelton has already gotten picked off, you cannot get picked off there. It's got to be a one-way lead. Short of your stealing and going on first move, okay? If that's not the case, then you're taking a one-way lead and you're making sure not to get picked off. So mental errors like that are just killers, man. And the first two games, Chris, were full of them, just full of them. Um,
We're too late.
Fortunately, the
We're
third
too late in
game,
the season. We're too late in the season to be making those kind of errors. Those who
yeah,
were in non-conference, you make those errors, then you tighten it up, you get ready for conference play. We're 9 games into conference play right now, and we're making too many errors. There's not enough consistency either. You see, you go back to game one, and guys are going. You have a bunch of guys 2 for 4, 2 for 4, 2 for 4. The only consistency this weekend was Shelton and even Luke Heyman. Brody Domingo goes 2 for 4. The next game he goes 0 for 5, 3 strikeouts. There's no people talk about, oh, we need to shift around lineups around. Well, Sully's done a plenty of time of that. You can't ask Sully to do any more with the lineup changes he does. He brought Bozer up to lead off. He's got Nadu leading off one another game. I mean, yes, you go righty lefty, different types of matchups and everything, but the consistency with the hitting, you don't know who you're getting when it comes to the plate. Sometimes you don't
did you
know if
mention
they're
that? Did you mention that he brought in Ashton Wilson?
He did
Like I
bring
said
National
last
Wilson. He
week,
did. He did. And
first
he
at
hit a
bat,
three.
three-run homer. Now he only hit one more hit the rest of the series, so he went, I
Exactly.
think, like 2 for 10 or 2 for 9 with a
Yeah, he went
walk or
one for
two.
three in the first game on
Yeah,
Friday.
he went one
Yeah.
for three, I think, and then he took an offer in the second game, and then I think he went 1 for 3 or something in game three. But I think you play him again this week. You play him again this weekend.
Build
Okay?
conf. You
Yeah,
build some
you got to build him
confidence.
up. You got to build some confidence in him. First to bat, 3-run homer. That's not easy, obviously. Put him in this weekend again, please. If I get there Friday and either they post the lineup early or it's up on the board and he's not in it, I'm gonna be disappointed, Chris. I really am. So I want to see Ashton Wilson in that lineup. But you're absolutely right. Sully is doing everything he can for the most part with that lineup, Guys just have to produce, period. Guys just have to and produce in situations where you don't even need to get a hit to help your team, man. That's the most frustrating part. Hey, hats off to Blake Sear. He's laid down some really nice bunts,
Mm-hmm.
sacrifice bunts, in which one was a base hit the other day. He was
Yep.
sacrificing it, and it was such a good bunt that he got a base hit out of it. So
Yeah, and he went
hats
down.
off
It
to
went
him.
down to first. Yeah, it went
Yeah.
down first. Yep.
So hats off to him on that because I know that I've been tough on Blake Sear here, but hey, he did great there, man. So things like that, man. You got a guy on second base with no outs. You got to get him over, especially when you're scratching for runs here, dude. It's not like we're putting up double-digit runs every game. You got to do your job. Man on third with less than 2 outs, dude. You got to do your job. You've got to, and that's where we're not. Even when you don't need hits. We're not doing our job. And that's bad baseball. That's just bad baseball. It's not winning baseball, you know? So hopefully they can
I
work
would.
that out, man.
I would like to see how many strikeouts we have with guys running on second, no outs, and we don't lay down a bunt, and we don't even move them over. We don't even shorten up our swings. Go to the right side if you're a lefty, Go
Yeah,
backside.
man.
Just move them over. Just do a job. I mean,
Then,
the Red Sox are pretty bad at that right now. I mean, we're only 3, 4 games into the season. I
yeah.
mean, what Devers right now is I think 0 for 13, 10 strikeouts. He is
You know what
so
you
bad.
need? You know what your Red Sox need? The Yankee torpedo bats,
Yeah,
baby.
I was about to ask you, what do you think? I was about to ask you, what do you think of those torpedo bats?
Torpedo bats. Did you
Hey,
see the memes that they've actually like really supersized it?
mm,
Like those old school wiffle ball bats? It's not like that big, dude. But
well, you
it
see
is.
Chisholm.
Hey, if you see them next to a normal bat, it is considerably wider in the meat
Hmm.
part, dude. So, I mean, I don't know, man. Yankees 15 home runs in 3 games. Yikes.
There's a
That's
reason
scary.
why. There's a reason why I drafted Aaron Judge first.
But Aaron Judge is not using it, supposedly. He
Oh,
says
really?
he's not. Yeah. Because he says that he doesn't even use it for BP. He doesn't want to j change anything. He's off to a good start. He felt good during spring training. He says he's not using them. It's like, it's like only like 4 or 5 guys are actually. The other guys might just go ahead and use it now too if these 4 or 5 guys start hitting 450-foot bombs all over the place. But it's like Volpe, Chisholm, like 4 or 5 guys. So
Chisholm
we'll see.
Chisholm
We'll see.
tweeted Chisholm tweeted about it. He,
Yeah,
he started he started going into analytics about what they're using, why they're
I
using
saw that.
it.
I saw. It's legal, so we'll see.
You
But that's a
see you,
little MLB
you see the
tangent there.
news? Did you see the news in the MLB today from
What?
Profar?
Yeah,
Banned for 80
performance
games.
enhancing drugs. Yeah.
I mean, you should have seen that coming when he was Tatis's partner. Come on now, play with Tatis. Come on.
Oh man, you want to talk
But let's
about
get
game
in.
two?
Yeah,
Ole
yeah.
Miss
Game
game
two.
two a little bit.
I have a few things with game two.
Go ahead.
First, Clemente looked. I think we pitched Clemente one inning too long. That 3 inning mark. That
Stop, stop. We don't talk about what we're going to talk about, and I have it right there, man. Clemente left in too long. I have it right there. Go ahead.
and this is a theme of the season so far. We're leaving some. I
Yeah.
think, and that's a if we have one bad take on Soli, that's the one bad take I have with him. He's relying on his veteran arms, maybe 1 inning too long, maybe
And it
one
could be
inning too long.
because
He
he's
just
just
doesn't
scared to go
trust.
to the pen.
Yeah,
Yeah, he
exactly.
doesn't trust the guys, obviously. So
What
I
game
could
was
see
it
it.
that? What game was it? I can't remember right now, off the top of my head. But I think Luke went 3 innings perfect, and in that fourth inning, they decided to run him one more inning. He lost it. There was another one with that. I think that one right there, you lose it. Also, mental. We're talking about mental errors. I think the Brendan Lawson home run was a mental error on him, and he'll learn from this. He'll never do that again. But you cannot get yourself ejected in a sense. You can't do what you did. It was a nice home run. You pimped it. Gators are up 9-5 at that point. Showboat your Showboat to your section. Yes, they intentionally walked Kobe Shelton, so he was proving a point. But look at this. You got to think about this for a second. We have a double header. Luckily, hey, we won 11-8. They didn't. I mean, we didn't really need them. But you got to think about it. Then more ejections can be happening, where
Yeah,
it can be.
we
I
got
mean,
lucky.
they could. We got lucky. I mean, it could be just one game. Luckily, it was only that game wasn't. Because what if? Well, think about it. What if it was we had it was a Sunday game, only not a doubleheader. We played Florida State on that Tuesday. Now we're without Brendan Lawson for our Florida State midweek game.
Let me
I think a
uh
min.
let me talk about both of those things actually that you brought up. The Clemente thing. What got me about the Clemente thing was that all the warning signs were there for Sully.
Mm-hmm.
I
Mm-hmm.
understand where Sully's coming from, right? But there's one thing to like push the envelope, and then there's that because everything told you that Clemente was going to blow up the next inning. Because first of all, why did Clemente get taken out of the starting rotation to begin with. Because once he got
Because
to
he.
about 35, 40 pitches, he was done in the starts that he had, basically, right? Well, he was already
Mhm.
at 40 plus pitches when the ninth inning started, right? So that's number one. Number two, the inning prior, he had already started to labor. Remember, the Gators were up by four, okay? And he gave up two the inning prior,
Mhm.
okay? And he gave them up with two outs, okay? So he already started to labor the inning before that. And then you bring him out for the ninth, and now the 4-run lead has turned into only two, and now you bring him out again. And then what does he do? Walk and walk. He walks the first two guys right off the bat. Okay. And now you're toast. Now it's like, oh my Lord. And then you go to Barbary, Barbary, and Barbary walks the first guy, and then he gives up a double, and then it's FSU just from a few days ago, and you blow the lead without even getting an out, really. I think they got one out. They registered maybe. I don't know. Um, so that was just I think Sully's got to learn from that. And and just be like, you know what? If all the signs are there that this guy is not going to be successful the next inning, even though I have nobody else to go to, I got to. I just got to. I don't know. It's not good choices, that's for sure. But I hope he learns from that, man. And then the home run, well, that's the whole Drew Gilbert from Tennessee, right? About a couple
Mhm.
years ago. That whole you could do everything you want as long as it's towards your dugout. Okay?
Mhm.
You could bat toss it, you could go crazy like that and slam the bat as long as it's your dugout side. So if the first base side, since when you hit a home run, you got to go to first. You can't go to third first, right? You got to go to first base when you hit a home run. Okay? So if your team is on the third base side, you better not be tossing bats and going nuts towards the first base dugout because that's going to be the away team and you're going to get called on that, you know? So we're lucky he didn't get suspended for more games. It was only the one game, and we're lucky it didn't come back to bite us. But that's a mental error. I know he's only a freshman, but that's a mental mistake. There was another mental mistake that I want to talk about, though. Okay? And that's another interference call at second base. The
Yep.
Bobby Bozer interference call at second base. Now, I'll be honest. At that moment, I wasn't watching the game. I was just listening to it because I had to run a quick errand. Okay? So, did you watch the play?
That's a good point because I actually was running an errand too at
You
that point.
didn't
It was
watch the play? I
no, I
have
haven't
yet
seen
to
it.
see the play.
I
I have
no,
yet to see it.
so I've seen the play, but it didn't look as. I have to go back and watch it again. Should have done
All
probably a little
I'm
bit.
going on, yeah, all I'm going on is the radio call from
Yeah,
Cardozo.
I was listening to Cardoza too.
And Cardozo said that his foot was off to the side. That's what he said, like literally right after the play. So that's all that I have to go on. So based on that, it's a good call. Based on that, you know, these umpires are very clear. In a situation like that, you better slide right to that base, man, and not have your your feet go off to the sides because they're gonna call you on it. At least they're calling the Gators on it. And if that happened to us just what, 2 weeks ago, you can't let it happen to you again, man. When you're in that situation, and I hate to pick on Bobby Bozer, but when you're Bobby Bozer and you're heading to second base in that situation, what happened literally last week that cost us that game has to be in the front of your mind. And you gotta be, I gotta slide straight to the base no matter what. I gotta slide straight to the base. You can't give the ump an opportunity to make that call on you, man. And it was a huge call again. It was a huge call, and sure, it had something to do with the Gators losing that game. So, just a killer, absolute killer. That's
Yeah,
all I had for game two, man.
yeah, it's just tough to lose those kind of games. People are frustrated, so like us, we're really frustrated, but we have the passion. Though, like that, it's people can't tell we don't have the passion for this. We might sound arrogant sometimes, might sound ignorant on our tweets, but it's because we want the best out of the players. There's a lot of talent on this team, and they're just not producing what they were brought in here to do at University of Florida. They have to do a job. And finally, maybe we're starting to see Luke Heyman do a job. Look at game three. Three for
Game
four,
three.
4 RBIs, 2 home runs from him. Solely tried to decide to change it up. Let's go Alex Philpott. He can't close games. Maybe he can start games. I mean, he went 4 innings, 8 hits, 4 earned runs, but he ate you 4 innings and you got to win. I mean, we go to By Miller for 2 innings. I mean, Carson, I don't know how to say him, Mascadoco. He's starting to look
Monte
good.
Mons de Oca.
Teoka.
Mons de Oca.
Teoka.
They probably call him Monty, probably. It's probably his nickname, like in the clubhouse, I would imagine. But
Probably so.
Mons de Oca. Mons de Oca. Big kid, man. Big kid. I mean, the kid's got potential to develop because, it's got great size. You know, he has a nice, smooth delivery. Um, you're kind of surprised he doesn't throw harder, right? Because
Right.
he's a huge kid, big frame on him. Um, so maybe he needs to develop some. It's a kid that I would like to see stick around, to be honest with you. I mean, because sometimes guys at the bottom of the, but it looks like Sully's giving him more of an opportunity here. Obviously, that was his second appearance now, right? In about a
Hmm.
week. So you might be seeing more of him. But a
I'm
kid that I
starting
would like to see develop.
starting to lose C Rod. C Rod starting to lose some confidence in his
Starting
stuff
to lose a
right
little
now.
confidence. Yeah.
Starting to he's walking too many guys. He's not being able to be reliable. I mean, he hasn't gave. I don't know when was the last time he's given you a full inning out of work. I mean, he got
How
teed up against Georgia.
Yeah. How familiar are you with his velocity from high school?
It was the same,
I
89,
was told
91.
I was told it was better. I was told by a scout that his velocity in high school was approaching the low
But
mid
like 90.
90s, which is
Not
like
90. Well, yeah.
94,
Mm,
a consistent 93, 94. I mean, you're talking about consistent 93, 94. Might not
down to
sound like a big
89.
difference from like 90, 91 or like 89, 90. But that's a huge difference, especially when he's coming with the 74 mile an hour changeup, right? But so I was told by a scout that yeah, his velocity was more in high school, and that it looks like he hasn't regained that following his Tommy John. So
Well,
we'll see.
out of like the scouting and the draft reports with him, like you talked about it too with him, his size and everything, his velocity probably wasn't. It was like 90, 92. He was in 93. I didn't know consistent 93. I just knew from what I was seeing, it was like 90, 92, 93. But I didn't think it was consistent 93, 94. But if it was,
Yeah. Well, yeah, people were people that because we have a separate chat group on X, right?
yeah.
You, me, and about 20 other people. And people were surprised when I posted on there that, yeah, even though he had all these huge accolades, even before he showed up on campus, I was told he wasn't projectable, that he wasn't
Yeah.
going to be a high draft pick, and because people's reactions was that he wasn't going to make it to campus, right? That, oh, there's no way this guy's coming to campus. He's going to be one of those Sully, pitching signees that never sees campus, right? Like that guy Petty, what's his name? Petty,
Chase, Chase
Painter,
Petty, Chase Petty,
Chase,
Andrew Painter.
Andrew Painter. I mean, there's a whole list of them, dude. Okay, you just forget the names, but a bunch of guys that Sully signed out of high school that never made it to campus, right? That had the type of numbers that C-Rod had in high school, but these guys project. What do I mean by that? Freaking 6'4", 6'5", okay?
Velocity.
Velocity in the mid 90s, upper 90s. That is projection. Unfortunately, the good Lord didn't grace me with height. I don't think he graced you with height either. You
Very.
know, I come in at a mean 5'9.5", 5'10". If I'm on my tippy toes, I think you're about the same because we've been next to each other, right? Well, C-Rod ain't much bigger than that. Okay. So he hasn't been graced with, the 6'5" frame. Okay.
Yeah.
So that's called projection for these major league scouts. And that's why he wasn't a high draft pick. I mean, the kid's numbers were ridiculous out of high school. Absolutely ridiculous. Okay. He was Mr. Florida, right? He was all American, the whole nine. All right. So I was afraid that people will would judge him based on that, you know? And
Mm,
I kind of knew that you weren't getting that. You weren't getting that. At least not what I saw during preseason and fall, you know? And people were still surprised when I said that. Pe
mm,
Remember people in that chat group were saying that if he was gonna supersede Liam as Friday night guy, a guy who had never pitched at Florida.
yeah,
Remember that? And
yeah,
I'm
he
like,
was.
dude, a- and I was like, my guy, you need to relax. This guy's never even pitched at Florida, but they're going basically just off the fact that those high school numbers,
Yeah,
so um I hope, I mean, you really need, because now who knows with Matthew Jenkins, I don't know what the situation with him is. I mean,
no idea.
he's no matter what, C-Rod's gonna pitch. He's gonna
Yeah,
pitch. So he needs to be effective, dude. So hopefully moving forward, he just had a little rough spot there. He's had a couple rough spots, so we'll see. So what else in that third game caught your eye? Anything else?
nothing too much. I mean, Barlow got you the save.
Oh
You're
gosh.
switching you're
Whew,
switching
that was
things up,
scary,
and
man.
you go Phil Pot to start, and you got Barlow to close. Sprinkle in a
Hey,
little bit of McNeely.
yeah. At least Sully's just throwing everything up against the wall, man, and to see what sticks. I don't blame him. Good for him. He's just
Maybe
trying to shake things up.
Blake's here going 2 for 5. Maybe I can get him a little bit going. Only one strikeout from him there.
Yeah.
Maybe. Oh, Yost
You
went 2 for 3.
you need guys like what happened with Heyman, like Sunday. You need players to get on streaks like that. Hopefully Heyman could go on a couple of weeks here, right? I'm not, you know, that was a huge game. He doesn't have to hit 2 home runs every game, man. Okay? But now he can't go a week and a half, 2 weeks without, producing. He's got to be a run producer, you know? And we said that going into the season, Chris. We said Heyman's coming in as your junior. He's got to be a run producer, and you need him to be a run producer. So you need guys like that to have. And then once Heyman goes a couple of weeks producing for you, then you need Brody to get back on it, man, and Brody to carry it for a
You need
couple of
them to
weeks.
click. You need them to
You
click
need them to
together
just
too.
start. Yeah, that'd be great. But at least if someone could get hot like that and carry you a little bit. I've said it before. Tybo could carry you for a month, but he just hasn't been able to get it going, man. Just has not. And it's sad to see. This is his senior year. It's tough, man. He came back. His walk-up song is I don't know. I don't know who's the guess who's back again, right? Whoever sings that song. But that's his walk-up song, man. And man, to see him struggling the way he's struggling, a guy like that who's giving so much to the program, it's tough because he's good. He's he's good enough. He just can't get off the schneid, man. He's got 0 home runs. If I told you that by week 4 of SEC play, Ty Evans would be at 0 in the home run count, oof, you'll be like, what? You wouldn't believe me. So
No.
so moving forward, you just need stuff like that happening, but it's good that they got a ninth inning rally. They just need to build off it, man, going into Vandy. You want to talk about a little bit about what they got to do going forward before we get to Vandy? The conversation
Yeah.
that we had.
So right now the Gators have 9 straight home games. You got UNF tomorrow. You got 3 games against Vandy. You got Florida State. You got 3 games against Missouri. Then you got Stetson. All 9 of those games are at home. Right now, what are we thinking? Home games, you need to win 2 out of 3. We're talking. We're gonna talk a little what Florida needs to do right now to make the tournament. They're not going to be able to right now. We don't even think about hosting. You need a 40,000. You need about 30. I would say about 37 and 19, 38, 18 record to host. Florida's at 18 and 11 right now. They'd have to go on some crazy streak of sweeping a lot of teams. Let's not do that. Let's not make this hard on ourselves. Let's just talk right now. what it takes to make a rejump. Right now, Florida needs to pretty much take 2 out of 3 home games, 1 and 3, and you take at least 1 of 3 from road games. If we do our math right, 1 of 3, but there needs to be a sweep though. In some of them home series, at least one sweep. If we're not saying Florida only takes 1 of 3 on the road, 2 of 3 from home, but one of those home series has to be a sweep because the math doesn't just add up right for us to be able to make the tournament. With just we'd be at, I think you said 12 games we'd be at if we took two out of
Well,
three from all home games and 1 of 3 on the road.
yeah. If you just do like what we've always said, right? 2 out of 3 at home, 1 out of 3 on the road. Just avoid the sweep.
Mm-hmm.
Moving forward, if we do that now, moving forward, it's not good enough. It's not
Nope.
good enough because of the hole that you've dug yourself in, right? Those 2 sweeps to start the season are absolute killers. 3 sweeps, in my opinion, would have been the death nail. That's it. Okay. That's just my opinion. You don't recover from that. The fact that you were able to at least get that one game at least gives us something to talk about. Okay. But yeah, the Gators are 1-8 right now. Okay. 1-8 in SEC play. They're not going to have the issue that we had last year with being 500 overall. We had that issue last year
Right.
because A, we didn't play those 2 games against St. John's. Okay. We never played those 2 games that we talked about that week, by the way. How that could come back to haunt you and people laughed, right? But it almost came back to haunt us. But anyways, that's in the past. And we lost more midweek games last year, and we lost even a game or two and more in the non-conference. Okay. So we're not going to have the issue last year of having to be 500, period, overall,
We only
which is
have
why we,
two. We only have two midweek losses right now. I think
well, we have the Florida
UCF and
State,
UCF
UCF and Florida State.
or State. That's
Yeah.
not
But we've won all of the other ones. So,
good.
yeah. So we're not going to have that issue. But the issue that we are going to come across is our in-conference record. The rule of thumb in conference is 15 and up gets you in. Okay, so 500 in the SEC, especially with the SEC that it is how it is this year, will get you in. Okay, no matter what. Now, for Florida, for the SEC, Florida's going to have a high strength of schedule. Okay, you start feeling comfortable at 14 wins. You start feeling more comfortable, right? Which is our record last year was four. What was our record last year? 14 and 7.
13, 13 and 17
Our record last year was 13 and 17. All
in
right.
conference in
So
conference.
third, no, not third. Okay, so 13 and 17 was our
Mm-hmm.
record in conference last year. So I don't think we get the benefit of the doubt at 13 this year.
Yeah.
I think the only way we get the benefit of the doubt at 13 wins in conference is if we beat Florida State and take 2 out of 3 against Florida State. Okay? You take 2 out of 3 against Florida State, that might help you get in at 13 and 17, like we got in last year. Okay? So I think we need to get to 14 wins in conference. We only have one. So that means we need to win 13 games of our remaining 21. So that puts it at 13 and 8 for the remaining 21 games. Okay, so you need to win 13 more games, I think, to feel good about getting in. 13 more games.
Yeah.
So,
It's there. It's there's with some away series it's there. It's there to take. You just got to
like,
produce.
yep, like you posted earlier today, it starts this weekend. Okay, I think Vandy and Missouri, the next 2 series, SEC series, are home series. You need to go 5-1 in
I was about
those
to say
two
the same.
series.
Yep.
You need to sweep Missouri, and I'll give you one loss against Vandy just because it's Vandy. Okay, but you have to go 5-1. You have to. I, if they don't go 5-1, sure, They could sweep Arkansas, right? I could say, right? We could sweep Arkansas. We could sweep who else is left on our schedule?
Yeah,
Whoever.
South
South
Carolina,
Carolina over in Founders
Texas.
Park that we've always had a miserable time in Founders Park. Okay? We've had even when we had Spro, even when we had Waldrop, even when we had Wyatt, we always go to Founders Park and it turns into a nightmare. Okay?
Did you hear the
But this
quote
team's gonna go.
from? Did you hear the quote from South Carolina's head coach Matt Manning? Did
What
you
do you
hear
say?
what he said about a midweek? Because they're on a seven-game
Manera.
losing Maneri. They said they're on a seven-game losing streak right now, and they were like, "What are you gonna do different?" Coming, he goes, "I'm about to take this midweek on Tuesday like it's the game seven of the World Series."
Hmm,
That was his
nice.
quote. People didn't like it, but you gotta just put your all hands on. We said all hands on deck for a midweek series, midweek game.
Exactly. Well, back back to this now, right? So, can they sweep South Carolina at Founders Park? Sure, they could do that. Are they gonna? No, they're probably not gonna do that. So we gotta be realistic. So they need to go 5-1 here, man. 5-1 will set them in a good position to start, really thinking with the second half of the SEC schedule that they could make a regional. Okay.
That puts you at 6-9. Yeah, 6-9,
So
7-8. Yeah.
and we'll be in the same boat as we were last year, sweating selection Memorial Day, right? Because it's on Memorial Day, right? The Monday of Memorial Day, sweating the selection show. We'll probably have a live Twitter Spaces like we did last year,
Yep.
or on YouTube, a live stream.
I think
That
we should
was
do
a
a
lot
live
of
stream
fun.
on YouTube. We should do a live
Yeah,
stream on YouTube this year.
definitely, definitely. Um, but Chris, you gotta look big picture. That's pretty much the best that we could hope for right now. And that's back-to-back seasons at the University of Florida that we're going to have a bad regular season. Because that's what that is. Okay. At University of Florida, that's a bad regular season. Okay. Having to sweat selection Monday like that. And having to count wins starting in the third, fourth week of SEC schedule. That's a bad regular season at the University of Florida. Okay.
Hmm.
That's just the way it is. Like it or not, take it or leave it. Okay. Um, so there's obviously some fundamental issues going on with the program, and we talked about it on X a little bit. I posted about it, and we'll just leave it at that. And we talked about it last show. But Sully's gonna have to come to some tough decisions at the end of this year, regardless, man. And you know what? And they could make a postseason again this year. They could make it. This is the tough thing, Chris, that they could make a postseason again this year and go on a little run. Instead of go to Oklahoma State, maybe we get sent to I don't know, pick a school, Coastal Carolina, something like that, and we
East
win a
Carolina. Yeah.
regional.
Oh,
Because
yeah.
when you got Liam Peterson going first game, and maybe Pierce Capola comes back, or you got Aiden Keene going second game, you could win a regional. You know, when you have pitching like that, you can win a regional because in a regional setting, your pitching staff
Tighter.
shrinks,
Yep.
gets super tight. You could win a regional. Last year, Chris, what happened last year? How tight did our pitching staff get? It got to
But
about three guys. Three guys. One of them named Neely, the other one named Jameson. And they just ran it, baby. They just ran it. Okay?
and you
That's
can do
just
that this year because you have McNeely, you have Clemente that can eat 2 innings in the bullpen. I mean, there's a
exactly. But
plenty of
if
good
that
stuff.
happens, Chris, but if that happens, guess what? At the end of our run,
Somebody's
Sully
getting
has to
that.
sit down and make tough decisions still. Because it's two regular seasons, brother, where you are having problems. And you need to find out why that's the case. Yeah,
Yep.
I know it's tough. People are going to say, they're going to argue the counterpoint, right? Well, how could you say that? They made a postseason. They made a run. They made it to a super regional. They were in Omaha the previous 2 years. Not saying to fire the head coach. I'm saying the coach has to have a look at his staff and find out why we're having issues in the regular season. Okay? Look, anybody could get hot for a 2 week period. Anybody. Yeah, you make the postseason and you get hot. That's great. That's great. No one's gonna poo-poo that. Okay? But back-to-back bad seasons, and that's what they are at Florida. If you don't like that, then go to Missouri, right? Go to Missouri and be a Missouri fan and be excited if on Selection Monday they're even being considered. Because Missouri on Selection Monday, they're not even paying attention. But that's
They're grilling
Missouri.
out for Memorial Day.
This is Florida, okay? At Florida, those are bad seasons, bro. You
Yep.
know what I'm saying? Those are bad regular seasons. And guess what, man? You know, not hosting regionals in back-to-back years, that stinks. That's the funnest part of my season is going to the regionals. I love that here, hosting regionals. That's a lot of fun, you know? So that's that conversation, bro. I think that was pretty good. That's pretty
Yeah.
good. That was fair, right, Chris? That was
Yeah.
fair.
That was fair.
That was fair, man. That was fair. Vandy.
Vandy.
Let's talk about Vandy a little bit, man.
Yeah, Vandy, on the other hand, they're coming off of getting swept by Arkansas. We'll
Swept.
talk. They got, yep. So I'll
It
go first.
was I, I got the scores here real quick. It
Okay.
was 9-0 on Friday. 9
Yeah,
nothing. So they got shut out.
JD had a bad. Yeah.
6-4 extra innings on Saturday. They lost. And then Sunday 7-3. So extra inning ball game. Friday was a no contest pretty much, but they held their own a little bit, but they're not doing great. They're 20-8, 4-5 in the SEC, 11th place in the SEC out of 16
Yeah, I think they
teams.
dropped to 20. They dropped to 23rd in the country now.
hmm Go ahead. What else you got?
Yeah. So Vandy's gonna go with JD Thompson on Friday. 6'2", 190 right-hander from. He's actually from Russell, Florida. Uh, Fastball sits 92, 95, can get up to 96. Last year was able to generate 37% whiff rate. He's got a true three pitch mix with a curveball and changeup as well. This year he's went 2-2, 4.62 ERA, 37 innings, 30 hits, 19 earned runs, 9 walks, and 48 strikeouts. Teams hit 219 off of him. The Saturday guy they go to, Cody
Hold on a second,
Bowser.
real quick.
What?
What's his whip? I love the whip. What's his whip? I think that's a great stat for a pitcher is the
I
whip.
actually don't have his. I don't have his whip. I'll get that
You
for
know
you
his
though.
whip? I love the whip. The walks, hits per innings pitched, right? I think the
Mm-hmm.
whip on our team must be awful. Don't you think? With all of our base on balls?
Probably so.
Probably so, man. But the reason why I love that stat so much as a pitcher, because it tells you the chaos on the bases when you're pitching, right? When you have people on base, you're walking people, you got that whip up, and every inning you go out there, there's people on base. Man, that's a recipe for disaster, especially in college baseball. So I love that whip, man. I love that whip stat. So JD Thompson is a righty?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I thought it was a lefty. All right, JD Thompson. So he's a hard throwing righty. He throws pretty good. Lower lower to mid 90s. Eh? You
Yeah,
know,
I'm trying to
that's
get
what we
that.
like to hit. Yeah, I see you trying to find that. That's what we like to hit, right? We like to hit the hard stuff. Every time you get a guy out there thumbing it, like how Jeff Cardozo says on the radio, thumbing it out there, either a righty or a lefty, it doesn't matter. We don't seem to be too good with that, man. So here you go, hard stuff. Let's see you hit it. Um, so we'll see. But that
Cool.
guy had a heck of a game. Well, no, it was the Arkansas guy who shut out Vandy. Okay, go ahead. What you
I
got?
guess it was Zach Root, wasn't it?
Was
It
it
was Root.
Zach Rue who's their Friday starter? I don't know.
Yeah, he
I
moved.
think
He
it's
moved
Geichel.
into. No,
Did he move into Sa
I thought Root moved back into the Friday. He moved into the Friday role,
Let me look it up.
but Cody Balker,
But
transfer from Georgetown, is going to be their Saturday guy. Last year, he went 5-1 with 3 ERA, 60 innings, 64 strikeouts, 20 walks. He sits around 91, 94, got a good arm side run. Also has a cutter and slider that can also generate some good whips. Also has a good changeup. He's 2-1 this year with a 2.78 ERA, 35 innings pitched, 25 hits, 11 earned runs, 12 walks, 43 strikeouts. Team also has only hit 191 off of him. He's given up 5 home runs in only 35 innings. He's been able to keep the ball down, be able to not give up too many home runs. For them, though, on Sunday, I mean, we've been having this deal all year long, but we don't even know who they go with on Sunday. There's a few guys that come out for them. Trying to get this name real quick. My bad, my bad. Trying to I had it and somehow deleted. Connor Fennell. Connor Fennell he's went the last 2 Sundays for them against Arkansas. He went 5 innings, 3 hits, 2 earned runs, 1 walk, 10 strikeouts for Vandy. So he had a really good outing. He's had 2 good outings. He's a freshman. So with that, they also have a few guys that come out of the pen. Brennan Sivers went 14 innings, 7 hits, 3 earned runs, 19 strikeouts, 7 walks. Teams only hit 164 off of him. So good bullpen guy out of him. They also have Ethan McElvain. He was supposed to be their prime Sunday guy, but then he
yeah,
ran into some trouble. 0-2 this year. He has 5 starts, but he came in twice out of the pen. 9.82 ERA, 14 innings, 20 hits, 18 runs, 16 earned, 19 walks, 27 strikeouts. Teams hit 333 against him.
yeah. 19 walks is probably why he's not starting no more.
Yeah, and then
Corbin
when he
doesn't
comes,
like walks either.
well, then when he comes out of the pen too, he just makes it less than an inning. He hasn't even
Yeah.
given you good outings out of the pen from him either. He was
So
supposed to be
that
their
Georgetown, yeah, he was supposed to be like even a Friday guy, really.
he was supposed to be their Saturday guy at first.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
then they moved him to Sunday, and then he just couldn't. So they moved Bowker up. Bowker's looks pretty good so far.
Is that the Georgetown transfer?
Yep, yep.
So how hard does he throw? The Georgetown
91,
kid?
94. 91,
Okay.
94 is good whip.
And he's a
Cut,
right-hander.
yep. Cutter slider.
So it's a righty-righty to start the series, righty-righty.
Yeah,
Um,
McElvain was supposed to be the lefty. He was supposed to be their
correct.
Saturday. 94, 95 with him. So he's got a good, but he only really sits 93, 94, but he can get up to 95.
You're correct on Zach Root. He is the Friday starter for Arkansas now. And he
Yep.
shut them out. Shut them out on Friday, man. Pitched really good. Could have been a Gator a couple times, but oh well. We talked about that. We talked about why
Hmm.
Zach Root's not a Gator actually.
I'll
And
leave that.
I think my theory is very good. I think my theory is very good on that. Um, I think Sully just had to make a decision. He had 3 lefties in that recruiting class. He had Zach Root, he had Cade Fisher, and he had Arroyo from down in Stoneman Douglas.
How many are
And
still Gators right now?
none, brother. And the
None.
best one by far is Zach Root, obviously.
Exactly.
But
So,
I mean, you can't hit 1,000, obviously. And
but you can't also
I think
say that
Sully,
Cade Fisher wasn't. He was bad starting. He ran into that sophomore slump, but he was nails freshman year.
he was
You
good.
look
He
at
was
him.
good.
You look at him freshman year with all the other
How's
freshmen.
how's he doing this year?
Good question.
Not great. I don't
He
think he's
he
doing great.
started well. He started out with an injury, but then I think he moved into the Saturday role for Auburn. Yes, Auburn.
Yeah,
You know me, and when we've been texting, I've been always having Auburn
I
and
know.
Ole
Yeah,
Miss
yeah.
somehow mixed up. But yeah,
Well, all right. Let's get into a little bit of Vandy hitting here. Um, well, first of all, where does Vandy rank in the SEC? In pitching, they rank number 4 in the SEC. So they're fourth with the pitching that Chris just talked about now. Fielding, Vandy's number two fielding wise in
Who's
the
number one?
SEC. Okay, I didn't
Mm.
like look at it. I just wanted to see where Vandy was. But you know where they are hitting? 15,
Are we behind them?
15 in hitting. I don't know. I didn't look. Oh, it's probably Missouri. Missouri's is like 16 probably in all these categories, man. Okay, which it tells you why you need to take three out of three on Missouri. Uh, but as a team, they're hitting 275. By comparison, Florida's hitting 304. They're hitting only 23 home runs, Chris. By comparison, Florida has 45. Okay. Georgia, Tennessee, they're already up like in the 70s by comparison. Um, so light hitting ball club. It's been Vandy's issue now going on
I
what,
was I
three or
was
four
about to
years?
say this. I was gonna say, isn't this like the recipe for success for Ben
Man,
Corbin in the last 5 years?
Corbin has just got it in this funk, man, where his team, he just keeps getting light hitting teams, man. Um, Pitching and defense. That's how Vandy's going to beat you. It's been that way for about 3 or 4 years now. So we'll see, and that's why they've struggled. You have to admit that these last 3 or 4 years, right? Vandy hasn't been as great as they've been in the past. I mean,
Yep.
Vandy was, what Tennessee has. So, you know, I hate to say this, Chris, but the emergence of Tennessee has really affected a couple programs, man. All right. Tony Vitello and Tennessee, I think, have had a big impact on Florida, number one, and I think their in-state rival, Vandy, number two. Okay, so Vitello and Tennessee, hey, if you don't want to hear it, hit the mute button. But Vitello's got a couple of scalps right now hanging on his wall in his office. One has a gator and the other one has that ugly Commodore thing. That's how I see it, Chris. I know them are tough words, but
Hmm.
I like to give that tough medicine sometimes. Hey, Chris, hitting, man, right off the bat, RJ Austin. RJ Austin looks like he's been there for like 10 years already. Okay. Good ball player. He's played all over the place, man. He's played second base for them. He's played first base last year. He was their first baseman. You know, he's playing this year, he's playing center field. So this year he's their center fielder. Okay. RJ Austin, great ball player. He should be a good draft pick, but he's having a down year.
He
They
started
they
out
ex
hot.
he's having a honestly, especially what they expected from him coming in as a junior with all that experience, because he's only a junior. Okay. Obviously he's draft eligible. But he's a right-handed hitter, obviously. He's hitting second in their lineup. But he's hitting on the 300, Chris. He's hitting 296. But here's the big thing. He's got only one home run all season. One
Mm.
home run. They were expecting him, I mean, easy, Chris. Double digits, approaching 20 probably, man. Okay. 22 ribbies, and his OPS is only 857. So that tells
Mm.
me his power numbers are down big time. Okay.
Hmm.
So RJ Austin, but gotta be careful with these guys, right? This guy's got the talent, has the ability, has done it before. So he could get hot in one weekend, dude. All of a sudden, bam, he is exactly what you thought he was going to be, right? So you just have to try. It doesn't happen. Make sure it doesn't happen to you this weekend, man. So RJ Austin. The next guy that I'm going to highlight is their leading hitter. Their leading hitters is kind of weird, Chris. His name's Riley Nelson. Okay. He's been at Vandy for about 3 years now, but really hasn't played. He's gotten into
Mm.
the lineup this year. Um, Riley Nelson, leading hitter. He's got 33 hits. He's hitting 347. He's a left-handed bat. He's their junior first baseman. Only has a couple of home runs with 23 ribbies and a 960 OPS. So even their leading hitter has low home run totals. Remember, they only have 23 homers, man. So they're not a power hitting ball club. Okay?
I remember us talking about this just last year at the same around the same time we talked about Vandy. We talked about them not having low home run numbers. Literally, I
I
think we're
remember.
talking word for word right now. And what does
And
Vandy do? I'm
they
pretty
lit
sure
us
they
up.
list up. They hit like four home
They
runs in
lit us
one
up.
game.
They lit us up. They
Yeah,
lit us up last year.
I was
You're
I
absolutely
was like
correct.
just listening you talk about it just made it just
Yeah.
come back right back in my mind.
They've had pretty much the same team every year for like the
Yeah.
last 3 or 4 years. It is really spooky. Okay? It's like
Hmm.
weird. It's like they're stuck in the Matrix and they can't get out of it. The Matrix doesn't reset for them. It keeps spitting the same Vandy ball club, you know? And it's kind of weird, dude, but Corbin can't get out of this little funk that he's in. But they lit us up last year. They lit us up last year. That catcher, what was his name? Espinal, I
Hmm.
think was his he lit us up. He lit us up, dude. So hopefully that doesn't happen again this year, man. If not, we have something to talk about next week, man. But Riley Nelson, like I said, I went over his numbers. He hits like 4 for 5 in the lineup. So he's right there in the juicy part of the order. I'm gonna talk about a freshman next, right? Every team always has like a true freshman in there. Brody Johnson. He's a freshman third baseman, right-handed hitter. He's a power hitter. He's their leading home run guy at 5.
I was
So
about
their
to
leading
say
home
what,
run
4 or
guy is at
5?
5. Yeah, 5. 25 ribbies to go along with those 5. 883 OPS. So not crazy power numbers, right? And he's hitting third in the lineup. He's a true freshman. Um, Last up, a guy who looks like he's been there forever too. Vastine at shortstop.
Yep.
Okay. Looks like he's been there forever. Jonathan Vastine. All right. But he's a light hitting shortstop. Well, light hitting, but yeah, he's got 4 home runs, which is light, but it's like second place on this ball club, right? 20 ribbies only, 775 OPS. That that qualifies as a light hitting player, to be honest with you. Not a lot of pop there. Hitting 253, Chris. So he's a 253 hitter, senior shortstop. Um, honestly hasn't really developed much. When he came on scene, Chris, freshman, right, going into his sophomore year, you were thinking about what with this kid? You were thinking he was going to be the next what? What's that stud guy? Former shortstop at Vandy in the big
Oh,
leagues.
Dansby Swanson.
Dansby Swanson, man, I had a brain lock there. You you thought he was going to be the next heir apparent to Dansby, right? But he never
Hmm.
really developed like that. And these numbers kind of tell you that, you know? But he's their senior shortstop. I'm sure he's a team leader. He's hitting seventh. He's usually seventh, eighth in the lineup. I know last year, a couple years ago, he was more in the top of the order. So he's actually dropped. So hasn't really developed, man. Jonathan Vastine. But watch him hit about 3 home runs in Condren now this weekend. Watch these guys just go off after I trash them here for like the last 10 minutes. Watch them just go off like they did last year, man. Hopefully that doesn't happen, but we'll see, man. It is baseball. But that's what I got for Vandy hitters, dude. That's what I got.
Mm.
Needs to start this weekend, Chris. Can the
Needs to
Gators
start with
sweep Vandy? Can the Gators sweep this team that we just talked about?
they
They could
can.
sweep them. They could sweep them
It's going to
at
come down
home.
to we need timely hits. We need guys being able to put runners in scoring position. We need to be able to move them over. Pitching needs to give us. Oh, I mean, we're hitting low right now, 4 or 5 innings. You got to be able. We can't use 7 guys out of the pen on Thursday night, Friday night again. First game one, we can't use 7 guys out of the pen. We have to be able to limit our bullpen. We have
So
to be
we
able to.
we are recording on Monday, right? It's April 1st, where like you're at. It's still March here in Gainesville. So it's Monday night. They haven't put out the rotation for the weekend, but obviously the school of thought as to why Liam pitched Friday instead of Thursday was to keep him on his full,
Hmm.
because whatever he had, right? Whatever reason he had for missing a start the previous week, you definitely didn't want to then change any type of routine for him. So I expect Liam to pitch Friday. Are you in
Jackson
agreement there?
Jackson Barbary will pitch tomorrow against UNF.
So
He'll
that
get the
came out.
start.
Barbary will get to start for whatever
I
that's
it's not on X yet, but I just went on the page and they already have the
okay.
preview.
For whatever that's worth. But Barbary's not going to go more than 3 innings probably.
Right.
Because I'm sure that Sully wants him good to go for the weekend. He's not going to have Barber go 70, 90 pitches, you know? So these midweek starts now, especially with Barlow probably now as a main bullpen guy for the weekends, maybe even your closer now, who knows? Okay. Um, these midweek games are going to be by committee. Um, so Liam Friday,
Yeah. Then we're going back to the same rotation of Liam, Aiden,
Aiden Saturday, and
and
then
then
Sunday, what do you got? It's gonna probably
bullpen.
be TBD.
Yeah, it's going to be a bullpen. We don't have. They're not going to know yet. They're probably going to see how much we use in the pen so far. Maybe go Phil Pot again to start. They might work
Yeah.
backwards again. You never
Going
know.
backwards, have
Shoot,
Clemente
throw
ready to go.
By Miller
Um,
start somebody. You know, there's craziness about Florida UNF. I'm looking 16 out of the last 17 matchups, and Florida's going for double digits in a row wins against
so
UNF.
yeah, double digit run wins, right?
No, double digit like 10 in a row.
Got it.
So dating back to
Got it.
2021.
Let me tell you, man, beating Florida State next week, losing that game to Florida State was huge. Because if you could win a series against Florida State, if you could take 2 out of 3, that'll be massive. It'll be massive. It could allow you one extra SEC loss. Okay? It could allow you to have one extra SEC loss and still make postseason. That's how massive that is. Okay? So because Florida State's going to stay up there. It's going to stay top 10 all season for sure. With their starting rotation, they're going to be top 10. And don't be
Hmm.
surprised if they send us to Florida State if the Gators make a regional. We haven't they haven't sent us there in a while. So they might do that. Who knows? I hate
Liam
that though.
versus Jamie
That'd be awful.
Arnold.
That'd be awful. That'd be awful if we go to Florida State for a regional.
If I'm honest, and this is just me speaking out loud right now, I'm not. I don't feel like intimidated by it. After seeing them in midweeks by their lineup, if we have Liam throwing. It's more their
Mm.
pitching. It's more their pitching that's going to be the problem against us with Arnold. Do they have Cam Whiter? Is he been throwing? I don't know. I haven't watched them
I don't
really.
think so. No, no, no,
Yeah,
no.
I don't
They
even
don't
think
have
he's
Lighter.
back.
No, he's not back. He's not back. Um,
Yeah.
he's still out. But Florida State, and then the weekend following Missouri is Stetson. That's going to be a tough. But I think you got to win these games, man. Got to win those games. But I think it's just coming down to the SEC weekends now, Chris. It's coming
Yep.
down to the SEC weekends. You got to get f 5 out of 6 here in these back-to-back weekends. 5 out of 6. You got to, man. Missouri next week. I know we're getting ahead of ourselves. That's a little payback, right? I mean, that was the low point of the season last year. The low
That
point
was that
was
was
going to Missouri and getting swept to Missouri, man. Um, which was tantamount to a good high school team, and they swept you, bro. Woo! So that's payback. So we'll see. We'll see. But it starts against Vandy Friday. I love the fact that they changed the time for Saturday, right? They changed the
hmm
time to Saturday's game so it doesn't conflict with the Final Four. Oh my
Oh, the
God,
Gators
Final
made it.
Four. Forgot about
Oh,
that. Well, I'll tell you, Chris, my heart can't take that, dude. My heart can't take that game. That was just craziness, man.
well, think about it for me. I wake up, grab a cup of coffee. Game starts at 7, 8 a.m. for me. Grab a cup of coffee real quick. Start watching the game. I'm just waking up. By the time it ends, it's waking me up for the day. How it's been lately. Elite Eight,
Damn.
round of 32 game. Too much
Tommy H,
stress.
man. Tommy H and Walter Clayton Jr.
There's people are saying that Tommy H is a
Clutch.
top. is on the draft boards already, top 40.
For this draft coming up now,
Yeah. Yep.
nah. Tommy
They
H is
said,
coming back.
yeah, some
Tommy H
people
is
say
coming back.
he's like 40. He was at 46 one time, now he's like 40.
Tommy H could have a monster season next year. I
Yeah, he'd
mean, a
be
monster season next year. As him and Condon's coming back. Okay, they're coming back. They're all coming back. Um, they need to find, I think, somebody in the portal to run point,
all of
maybe.
them are gonna come back. You think Walter Clayton comes back?
No, 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 he can't.
No, I'm
Clayton,
kidding. I'm kidding.
yeah,
Him
those
and
guys are
I
seniors.
wish. I wish.
The whole backcourt's gone. The whole backcourt, obviously, but all the big. You might have a transfer amongst the bigs. You might get one transfer in there. Maybe an Sam Alexis might not come back. You know, but
Yeah.
I think Tommy H, Condon, Micah. I saw Micah at the baseball game, by the way. He was at the baseball game, the midweek game. Who was the Wednesday midweek game before the tournament started? He was there. I told him good luck. Man, he's in person is ridiculous, right? The height of some of these guys. I mean, 7'1" in person, you know,
Think
ridiculous.
about the
But
7'9" dude.
oh my God, he was at the baseball game, Micah. Yeah, but Micah's coming back. He loves Gainesville, obviously. He ain't going nowhere. Um, and who's the fourth guy? Brain
Oliver.
lock again, man. Huh?
Oliver.
No, not Oliver. Our starting center, the Nigerian.
Oh,
Is he Nigerian or
Chinulu.
Chinyelu? Chinyelu's coming back, obviously. If Chinyelu, listen, during the offseason, here's what you got to do with Chinyelu. Have him take 500 bunny shots every day. 500. Literally 500. And then do they have like in football what the wideouts use? The little jugs gun? Do they
I
have that in
mean,
basketball?
I don't
I would
know. I don't
put
think
him
so.
in front of a basket. Well, I would invent it then. Okay, I would have the UF engineering department invent a jugs gun for basketballs and just shoot him 100-mile-an-hour basketballs. All practice, like 500 of those. And then once he catches 500 basketballs from a jugs gun at 100 miles an hour, then have him do 500 bunnies. All American next year. He'll be an All American. How many
Well,
bunnies does he miss?
people have scouted him where he attacks the rim so hard that some of them have just backed up. They don't even like attempt to block his shot, and he's still laying it in too
You
strong.
froze.
I
You
froze.
you
Am I
completely
there?
froze there, yeah. The last
No,
5 seconds. Go ahead.
no. I was saying
You were saying that he
this.
attacks the basket so hard. What?
Yeah, he attacks the basket, scouting guys just back up. They move out of the way, and he just still too strong on the layups because he's expecting contact. It's too much. Some of those
Yeah.
just miss. And I think right now Condon is a little weary with the ankle. He's a little he's playing a
Well,
little bit timid right now.
yeah.
I think he's playing a little
Listen,
bit too timid.
since the tournament started, we're not playing our best basketball. All right.
And
The
we're still
last
winning.
month of the season, the last month into the SEC tournament, that team is not the same team that's playing right now. Okay.
Yeah.
And we're still made it to the Final Four. But to beat these next two games, that team that ended the season has to show up. Has to show up and they're national champs. If they don't, they might not beat Auburn. They definitely won't beat Duke or Houston. Duke or Houston's a different animal. You have to be the Florida that showed up the last month of the season through the SEC tournament and just ran roughshod. That team shows up, man, that Duke Houston game will be unbelievable. Okay? But that team doesn't show up, Auburn probably beats us. Okay. And it
Yeah.
all starts with Condon. Well, I mean, that ankle, man, you got to give that baby massages every single day, man. Whatever it takes, you got to get that ankle ready. Obviously, he was bothered big time during the Texas Tech game. Bothered big time. He was probably, well, what would you say? Playing at 60% maybe, 60, 65, if that.
Yeah, he has some good threes, but he just attacking. He made
It
one
was
that
down
one
low,
good
man. We were
down
getting
low was
bullied.
just
Yeah, we were getting bullied. He was getting bullied down there, and it's because he didn't have his base, man. He didn't have his base to, fight down there. So,
where do you I wonder if Florida decides to go get a big man next year that actually has some like size and some meat on the bones and put Condon at the 4 and put Ha at the 3 next year because Ha can hit, he's got the athleticism to play the 3. He's got
He's
the
gonna get better.
defense. He's
He's only gonna
gonna
get better.
if he just gets his ball handling just a little bit better or a lot better, he could play the 3. I mean, I just don't see him as a 4 in the NBA. He's
He's
not a 4. He'd get
yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, three, yeah, whatever. Look at this, man. It's sounding like Florida basketball out here. Before you can turn into Hayes Fawcett on me with all the analytics and stuff. All right, man.
yeah.
Let's wrap this bad boy up. Hopefully, we're talking about a
Predictions
sweep of
2 out of 3.
Vandy, man.
Sweep? You got sweep?
Hopefully, we're talking about a sweep. We sweep Vandy. I, I'm gonna start to get a little excited again. I might start to get a little excited. Okay,
You
as
know
far as
what?
things getting back on track. Because remember, early in the season, I said I wanted to sweep Miami. Remember that I said that? I wanted to sweep Miami. It would tell me something about this team, about the type of season that they could have. Remember I said that? Why? Because Miami sucks. Have you seen Miami? They're barely over 500.
Yeah, they're
Okay,
terrible.
on they haven't won a ACC series yet. They've gotten swept, I think,
Neither have
once.
we.
Neither have we, so I shouldn't say much. But they weren't a good team when they came here, and they're not a good team now. All right. They were a bum then, and they're bums now. All right, like that Scarface line. All right. So I knew by not sweeping Miami, I had a bad feeling because I didn't respect that team at all, the Miami Ball Club. They're just not a good ball club. Um,
Yeah.
but if they sweep Vandy this week, I'll start to get excited again because that's a good sign. It's a good sign moving forward as far as the psyche of the program and figuring
Hmm.
some things out, right? Because
Right.
Sully's going to have to figure some things out to be able to sweep Vandy. It means that some guys are going to have to be producing in some spots, either pitching or hitting. You know, you just can't sweep somebody by just showing up. You got to play good baseball. This team hasn't played good baseball yet, man. I don't count that pre. Look, man, it looks like the pre-conference that we played was absolute trash, Chris. Absolute trash. I haven't even looked at the records of Air Force and who was it? Yale? Who who came in? Harvard. Harvard came
Harvard.
in here. Harvard, but I got a feeling those were very bad teams, dude. Okay? And even Miami. This wasn't a Miami team. They haven't been a Miami team in quite a while, first of all. But this team was no good. No bueno. Okay? So yeah, man. We gotta start playing good baseball, Chris.
So you got sweep against Vandy?
Oh, you want the prediction? Not
Yeah.
the prediction. I'm
Predictions.
still gonna go two out of three.
2 out of 3.
I'm not calling the sweep yet, man.
We
I'm not
actually
calling the
we
sweep.
we actually both tied last week.
Well,
We both
we both
said
said two out of
two
three
out
Ole
of three.
Miss.
Ole Miss. Yeah.
By the way, Ole Miss is ranked in the top 10 this week now in the D1 pod polls. They're ranked in the top 10. Did that look like a top 10 team in the nation to you? Come on,
No.
bro.
They only
Not
had
at all.
one beer shower. I think they only
They
had
had one home
one,
run the whole weekend.
and that no, I think they only had one beer shower to right. I think it's only a home run to right field, right? You have to hit it
I
to
don't
right
know.
field.
I don't know the rules. I don't know the
Yeah.
rules. But again, the players we highlighted killed us. Remember that we talked about that last year? That Satterfor guy? That guy lit us up, man. Um,
Yeah.
the
All
the
right.
other dude, Hammer Hammerhead, what was his name? Hammerhead or something like that. He lit us up too. Every guy that we highlight's always, you know,
Well, hopefully this week the players you highlighted don't light us up. Okay.
if
Maybe you
that
need to start reverse jinxing and start putting the guys that are absolutely
I gotta give
terrible.
accurate information though. This
Nah,
ain't
no,
fake news, Chris. I gotta give accurate info, man. I
this
can't
isn't
give
fake.
fake news. Hey, go
All right.
Gators, wrap it up. Hey, hold it. By this time next week, next podcast, we'll be doing a podcast during the championship game of the Final Four.
Maybe we should. Maybe we should push back the pod just a little bit and let's
If the Gators
enjoy.
are in the championship,
Yes.
I don't know. Imagine that. Man, you just froze up nasty. So your connection's dying. Wrap it up, wrap it up, wrap it up. Go
All right.
Gators.
Thank you guys all for listening. Thank you guys for getting all the support on YouTube and Spotify. Like, leave a comment on Spotify. Leave 5 stars if you guys really like it. Give us a comment. If you guys want anything, hear anything, talk about, we can give you guys. We can talk about it on the podcast. As always, go Gators. See you guys next week.
Go Gators.